It is Saturday Night Live, unnecessary roughness edition. College football, another Saturday, week 8, 9, I don't know. I lose track
8.
by now.
It's 8.
Who cares? Who cares? It's another week in the season. We got some wins, we got some losses, we got some teams taking step forwards. We have a shocking top 10 upset that we'll get to in a little bit. A little nervous about that one.
I'm so nervous.
Before we go any further, Casey, tell them about the good people at High Noon.
Well, I'm so nervous that I maybe need another High Noon. High Noon hard seltzer. We all know the drill. If you're watching this, it's midnight on the East Coast, so hopefully you've been having a fantastic day watching all the college football games and drinking your High Noon, maybe the game day pack. I've been really going hard with the cranberry. I love the cranberry again. It's the season where you can just sit back and drink the cranberry and like the holidays come in. I don't know, Jack, I don't know if I'm a weirdo, but like every time I drink a High Noon cranberry, like I start thinking about Christmas. Is that weird?
I mean, it's not the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I don't personally
That's a little weird.
think of Christmas, but I do like the cranberry. It is a Christmas flavor for sure. Like I wouldn't take that away from you.
No, I'm definitely not the person that ever rushes the holidays because I don't like. You should not start celebrating Christmas until after Thanksgiving, and we're not even to Halloween yet. However, the High Noon cranberry does hit in a different way. It gives me a little bit of a Christmassy feel. But go get the game day pack, Drizzly, your liquor stores, your convenience stores, highnoonsunsips.com. You know where to find a pack. I'm going to tease it again in case people that are watching and listening now have not heard this. We will have a new flavor coming soon, and it is apparently A+++, 10 out of 10, the top of the line in the power rankings. So make sure you're paying attention. We love High Noon. And Brandon, I know you said you're scared. I'm a little scared. This is probably the most nervous I have been for a live show.
Yeah.
Or for a podcast we've ever done other than when you and I were actually fighting, like in real life. Because I don't know if we've ever had Katie actually mad at us. And I think she's actually mad at us tonight.
Well, first of all, she has no cause to be mad at us. I didn't lose to anybody. All right. I didn't lose.
Don't make it worse.
No. She can be mad if she wants to. I'm sorry I had to tell her to enjoy 6-0. I'd suck a dick for 6-0 to start the season. So don't get me started on that. Now we got a lot to talk about before we let her go off on that shit.
We do.
But we got a lot to talk about. Before we get into everything, I just got to say that I just got through watching USC and Utah and Clemson, Miami back to back. They both went down to the wire. A game-winning field goal for Utah with 5 seconds left. 2 overtime win for Miami against Clemson. And I think we get lost so much in when a team loses, the season's over, they're terrible, awful, let's not talk about them anymore. I think everybody does that in college football. These teams don't matter. Listen, those were 4 teams, 2 games of teams that weren't really – they're not going to be in the playoff mix. They're not going to be playoff teams outside of maybe if Utah makes a run late. But it was just phenomenal college football. Phenomenal college football. Like, I didn't need Ohio State. I didn't need Michigan. I just watched 2 games come down to the wire, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was amazing. And, of course, like it is weird to think when you name off those 4 teams. I mean, again, Utah is kind of an outlier there, but you think of – like Clemson being in a game like that, and it doesn't matter for the playoff because they're already out of it. USC, because they lost, now completely out of it, but it was still so good. And I mean, I know that, we're going to be recording for a while, but like Arizona State's up 7-0 with Washington right now, like in the, almost at halftime. So we've got a lot of interesting football happening. And I think that a lot of people thought, oh, well, Ohio State, Penn State's at noon. It's by far the biggest game. Like, why would you want the best game at noon? Because then everything else is a letdown for the rest of the day. That's just not the case. Like the most entertaining games we just finished watching.
All right. So we'll start with Penn State, Ohio State. Of course, we'll get to North Carolina. We'll get to Alabama and Tennessee. We'll get to all the good, all the bad, all the things that make the facts of life. So we'll do all of that in just a little bit. But we start in Columbus, Ohio, where Ohio State beats Penn State 20-12, I believe, 20-12 final score. A game that was kind of a defensive slog. Ohio State ends up winning it, which means they get the spoils. Penn State gets to the brink of mattering on the big level, and they fail again under James Franklin. I think now he's 0-10 on the road against top 10 teams. Every number you can think of when it comes to big games, James Franklin is bad at them at Penn State. I thought going in, Penn State had a very good chance to win this game. I said they would win the game. I thought Drew Aller would be better in this situation than he was. He was really, really bad. Was it all his fault? No. I'll get to that in a little bit. Everything I thought would happen with Penn State but didn't. But I kind of think the reaction nationally to this game has been bizarre. It's been really weird, and I'll explain why. What I saw today was two top-line elite defenses going at each other, just locked mano a mano. Penn State's got an elite defense. Ohio State's got an elite defense. And Drew Aller sucked because Ohio State's defense was really damn good, really good. And the reaction I saw online was, oh, these two teams suck. Penn State's terrible. Drew Aller's a joke, yada, yada, yada. No, I think they just ran into a good-ass defense. Maybe I'm just weird. Did you get the sense that Penn State's terrible and these were two teams that can't hold up to Michigan, or what?
No, I didn't get that sense. I do think that it was very bizarre to see like, oh, these teams are not any good. However, I do think that it was, and Jack, I don't know if it was you on the main account, the Battle of the Mid. Was that you?
No, it was somebody else.
I thought it was very funny because that's the way that it felt like it with these two quarterbacks and the way, and now the defenses are obviously very good, both very, very good defenses. But with all the hype going in with Kyle McCord and Drew Aller, it did feel like that at one point. However, I didn't understand that either, Brandon. I was very much like, now I do think that when we're going to have to get into this, you're going to have to, like, JJ McCarthy is very clearly the best of those three quarterbacks. I'd like,
based on what?
The way he's played versus what we just saw. You cannot sit here and tell me that Drew Aller or Kyle McCord has looked better than JJ McCarthy.
I think Drew Aller and Kyle McCord have both played a legitimate team. He has not played a football game yet. When he plays a football game, I'll acknowledge it.
Made it to the college football playoff last year.
And threw 2 pick sixes and lost to TCU, a bad team.
Played, but like Brandon, this doesn't make sense to me. What you just saw Drew Aller do today, you're going to try to tell me he's a better quarterback than JJ McCarthy?
I didn't say that. Where did I say that?
I just said that we can say he's the best of the three quarterbacks.
I don't think we can say that either. You just said 2 different sentences. Can I say Drew Aller's better than JJ McCarthy? Can I say Kyle McCord's better than JJ McCarthy? Of course I can't. That would be stupid. But I'm not going to sit here and say we just proved that JJ McCarthy is the best of the 3 quarterbacks because he hasn't played anything. And those two quarterbacks just played 2 of the best 5 defenses in the country. That's what I'm trying to get across here.
Thus far, from what we have seen, who would you want to be your starting quarterback of those 3?
I have no idea. I am legitimately not passing judgment on JJ McCarthy until he plays a team that can make Michigan blink. It's the worst schedule through 9 games that any playoff team has ever played, ever. So November 11th, when they go to Penn State, it will be time. If he goes out and throws for 300 and looks good against Penn State, at no point can I say, oh, my goodness, he's not. But until then, we're just based on a hypothetical. He is a hypothetical, and they actually had to play somebody.
They have not played anybody. You're right. They have not played anybody this year. They still made it. I understand he did not look good in the college football playoff, but from what I just saw from Ohio State and Penn State's offense,
but again, that's the point. That's what you're saying is exactly my point. People are saying, from what I saw of Ohio State and Penn State, Michigan is going to do this. From what I saw of Ohio State and Penn State, JJ McCarthy.
I said their offenses didn't look that great.
From what I saw of Ohio State and Penn State, JJ McCarthy is this. Here's the thing. We just saw round 1 of a 3-team round robin in the Big Ten. And I think all 3 rounds are going to look exactly like that one looked today. That's not to say Michigan won't win the 2 it plays against Ohio State and Penn State. But when Ohio State and Michigan play, when Penn State and Michigan play, it will be a defense rules the day game, just like this one was. Michigan might have a better defense than both of them. I think it's going to be a slugfest, a war, all 3 of them. And I think instead of saying Drew Aller sucks, Kyle McCord sucks, we should be saying, God damn, these defenses are good. Like, these are really good-ass teams.
There's multiple things in that. I do agree with you. The defenses are very good. The offenses did not look good. JJ McCarthy also beat Penn State and Ohio State last year. So
what's the last year got to do with anything?
Because he's the same quarterback.
Why do you keep bringing up JJ McCarthy? We're talking about Ohio State.
All I said is that this game showed to me that neither Kyle McCord nor Drew Aller looks like these fantastic quarterbacks, and of the 3, he looks the best. Now, you are correct. The defense is the main storyline. I get that, but neither one of those offenses looked good today. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr. did. That's different.
But that's the point. They didn't look
you
good.
Said, you asked me why people were overreacting to it, and I answered your question. You brought up Michigan. I did not bring up Michigan. You brought up Michigan.
Oh, wait, did I? I didn't bring up
yes,
JJ McCarthy.
Said, why are people overreacting saying that these two teams stink and they can't hold up to Michigan?
I certainly didn't bring up JJ McCarthy. Anyway, putting aside, I just think this reaction is crazy because it's at what point does Ohio State have to beat people over the head and say we have a good defense? You look at who they played. Does Sam Hartman suck? Does Talia Tagovailoa suck? No, they don't suck. They're pretty good quarterbacks that ran into Ohio State, just like happened today. Like Ohio State has shut down Hartman. They've shut down Tagovailoa. Now they've shut down Aller. They're just really fucking good on defense. Really good.
They are very good. I mean, I was texting with Ev earlier today. Like he said, he thinks they're the best defense in the country. Which I mean, obviously, you can definitely stack them up against some other of those defenses. But Ohio State's gotten so much better over the last couple of years on defense. That's definitely something they should be excited about. I don't know if they're the best defense in the country, but they looked pretty damn good today. There's no doubt. However, I do also think that Penn State's offense is not very good.
I think it was not very good today. I think it certainly was sluggish. The receivers didn't get separation. They don't really have the top of the line receivers. That was probably the difference in the game. Ohio State had a superstar receiver and Penn State didn't. So when it was time, when things got tough, Ohio State could throw to Marvin Harrison and get yards, and Penn State couldn't do that. But a guy who's a redshirt sophomore, whatever he is right now, I'm not going to throw Drew Aller out. I just think today was more about the skill and the tenacity of those defenses. Jack, you haven't talked here yet, so I'll open it up to you. Where are you coming in on this?
No, I was just letting you guys, have a friendly spar. I definitely think there's still some things to be left to be desired about Ohio State's offense, but the defense is spectacular. It took Jim Knowles, right? I think that's their defensive coordinator's name.
Yeah.
2 years to kind of figure it out, or just a season. This is his second year, and it's a spectacular defense. It's not soft. It seems like it's loaded with talent like it always has, but he's kind of found a way to flip it, which is really impressive. Drew Aller, I think, looked worse than McCord. I think McCord had moments. He misses some guys here and there. This is the first Ohio State quarterback in a little bit, though, that it's like, I don't know if I'd feel I'm saying, I wouldn't feel great with him with the ball down 4 or whatever with 3 minutes left, but he did that against Notre Dame. So what am I saying? Like, I was about to say that, but then in my head, I remembered that exact moment. So it's just, that being said, I feel like if you're a Ohio State fan, you love where you're at right now.
I know. I think you love where you're at. You're obviously, barring unforeseen circumstances, I think Ohio State is 11-0 going to Ann Arbor, which is where you want to be. So there's 2 scenarios that are probably going to be at play here. Either Ohio State is 11-0 going up against 11-0 Michigan, which I think is probably the more likely scenario, or all 3 of these teams. That's still on the table where all 3 of these home teams in this round robin hold serve. That would require Penn State beating Michigan on November 11th and then Michigan beating Ohio State at the end of the season. We'll see. But right now, based on body of work, Ohio State has probably put more hay in the barn than anybody in this country. They've gone on the road to Notre Dame and they've won. They've won at home against now Penn State. And I guess what I'm saying is the narrative coming out of this that Penn State chokes and is a bad team is simply wrong. I think they're one of the 10 best teams in the country. They just ran up against a very good defense today.
When do we start? I know we have this conversation, it feels like every year, but going into this game, it was, can James Franklin, I don't remember exactly what you said on the show that became like the catchphrase, like you don't break through till you break through or whatever. Like at what point do we step back and say, like, this guy, like he keeps Penn State like at the top of the conversation, obviously, especially in the Big Ten. But when these games come around, he just can't win them. And it's not all his fault, obviously. But at some point, when do we say, like, this is kind of on James Franklin?
I think I'm going to give him the home game this year against Michigan to see as far as this team goes, because I think this is his best team in a while. He did go on the road today, and he lost to a very strong team on the road. Benefit of the doubt tells me he gets his chance at home, just like Ohio State got their chance at home today. I'm Do I think Penn State's going to beat Michigan? No, but I think let's see this thing play out a little bit more before we rush to judgment because we all agreed, right? Everybody in the country agreed these three teams are going to play and figure it out. Well, they played once, and I think everybody thinks we figured it out, and I don't think we have.
I don't even think it matters. It obviously does matter because it's the season and whatnot, and the narrative will be there even more if he loses to Michigan. But what do? I don't even think you do anything. I think you just keep showing up. You're like, all right, we got to run it back next year. It's unfortunate, but I think James Franklin. And that being said, I mean, that was holding on Marvin Harrison, but let's say they don't call that. Yeah. It's not like they got beat 41-10. They didn't play great. And like Brandon said, we got to give them that Michigan game. But even if I'm saying, oh, let's see what happens with Michigan, and they even lose there against Michigan.
Yeah.
I think you still feel pretty good with James Franklin. I don't think you throw out the entire, you don't throw out the house for the kitchen sink or whatever the saying is.
I feel like, I mean, Jeff D. Lowe is the closest friend that I have that's a Penn State fan. And watching the way he was reacting to this game on Twitter, it feels like, and I had other Penn State people in my mentions, that it's like, yes, who do you go get? James Franklin keeps them up there, but you have to be frustrated when you have, seemingly a team that a lot of people in the country were ready to say, this team can beat Ohio State, this team can beat Michigan. And then you have the opportunity, and it was such a slugfest on, for both defenses, and he still can't do it. Like, it's not like it's like 1 or 2 years. Like, I mean, he can't beat Ohio State. He's done it one time in the 10 years he's been there.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I feel Penn State fans' frustration without a doubt.
It's a weird spot because there is no shame in not being able to beat Ohio State. Most teams, 99% of teams aren't going to beat Ohio State on a year-to-year basis. So I guess my big takeaway from this is a lot of people are saying, today did prove that Michigan is better than these two teams. Well, these two teams played. Michigan will have their chance to play these two teams and prove that. When that happens, we give Michigan all the flowers. I didn't come out today thinking, boy, Michigan's so much better than these two teams. No, I really thought that was it felt like Alabama LSU circa 2011. Like, it felt like those two teams just defensively were in a war. And Jack's right. If that holding isn't called on Marvin Harrison, it was a hold. If it wasn't called, if they missed it, that's a defensive touchdown, and the whole tenor of the entire thing changes. But it didn't. And Ohio State wins. We've got round 1 in the books. Now we look to round 2 in the Big Ten when Michigan visits Happy Valley November 11th. All right.
Are we going to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr.'s new nickname?
I was going to bring it up later, but yeah, you can.
Okay. Save it. No, but I mean,
Maserati Marv.
I would actually. Somebody has to know exactly how many times it was said.
I watched it at the Gambling Cave without sound, so I never heard it. I only saw it on Twitter.
It was ridiculous. Like I'm doing the the YouTube TV split screen thing, and obviously had the sound on for that game most of the time. And it was shocking how much it happened. And then of course, the internet takes it and runs with it. But it was. He knows. I'll save it.
I mean, I don't know. I like Gus Johnson. Like, we're just following the Gus Johnson's plan. Like, he knows what he's doing. It's like one of those where it's like, oh, I can't believe this guy did that again. It's like he knows what he's doing. He's doing like he knows we're gonna react that way. Like, oh my God, right. Gus Johnson said it again. Whoa.
It's true. It's true because and then Gus Johnson on basketball is like top tier. So like I will never slander the man.
I don't know. He's whatever. He's just someone that is like people assume is good because they say he's good.
Well, like, it's like also the way he raises his voice in certain ways. I will say this, Brandon, to your point, and obviously we can argue about the three of those teams in the Big Ten East till Kingdom Come. But I do completely agree with you that people are throwing out both of these teams in a very weird way. Like I still personally think Michigan's going to beat them. That's been my take from before today. However, it was very odd. Like all day, people being like, "These two teams."
Who's throwing out Ohio State? Outside of Dave,
like who's I got on Twitter. That's all.
I mean, like I know Dave said it, but like obviously he's in Michigan Dave mode. But like who's throwing? Like I want to talk to that person.
I mean, Brandon, I'm not even talking about just the Barstool bubble. Like I saw people being like, neither one of these teams are any good. But I could be wrong. I obviously think both of these teams are good.
No, I mean, I believe you. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just like that's such a.
No, I mean, Brandon? Did you see the same thing, or am I crazy?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
That broad's crazy, y'all. I don't know what she be talking.
You brought it up. What was that?
I dropped my pool triangle on the table. What do you call this? Triangle?
If you're throwing out Ohio State and Penn State, you're not a part of YKB. Like no. we kicked you out.
Can't be a YKB boy. All right. Second big game.
Wait, hold on. We gotta address the Drew Aller takes.
Okay, I will address the Drew Aller takes. What are the Drew Aller takes?
You're with saying Drew Aller is the best quarterback in the Big Ten, but also more importantly, like what's your temperature on your take for Penn State winning the Natty?
Well, that's certainly that I don't know if that one's got hypothermia yet, but it's probably got pneumonia. We probably need to check the lungs for fluid. It's not great, but they're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, and nobody with one loss in a major conference is. But if he couldn't play better than that today, and I don't think the offense helped him. I don't think the play calling helped him. I don't think the receivers helped him. But at the end of the day, nobody's really going to help you if you're an elite top line quarterback. You got to go get it. You got to go earn it. You got to go do it yourself. And he didn't show that ability. He is also 19 years old, and that was the first tough road game he's ever had as a starter. So if we're going to say, we refuse to allow guys to mature and to go through growing pains, and I think Drew Aller will probably be just fine. Frankly, as far as their top line, we want to be a national champ hopes. Penn State has to go get ball catchers. They got to go get guys they got to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. That's the biggest difference between Kyle McCord and Drew Aller today was one had 18 and one didn't. We
spent all offseason talking about these two running backs. Did you I know you said you didn't have audio, but did you hear their names at all?
No,
I know they had 50 rushing yards.
Allen had a couple of moments, but Singleton was really it felt like a non-factor. I
got a question for my Penn State fans and even everybody on this show. Do you think they missed Sean Clifford yet? Or no?
I did.
Let's say Sean Clifford's the quarterback today.
I mean, he didn't beat Ohio State either.
I know, but do you think he possibly? All I'm saying is, do you think their win chance would have went up?
If it's the same receivers and the same offensive philosophy, I do not. I don't. I think that offense was not quarterbacked that well, but I don't know how much the quarterback was going to be able to salvage that.
I don't think that it would be a massive difference, but I mean, Drew Aller missed a lot of throws that I don't think Sean Clifford would have missed. There were multiple throws that Drew Aller had that were it was bizarre.
The Ohio State defense Clifford faced last year and the Ohio State defense of today are two totally different animals. I think this Ohio State defense is a top 5 defense in the country. That's what I say about that.
And I don't think that Sean Clifford would have been the complete difference maker. I don't think he misses some of the throws that Drew Aller did.
I'm sorry. Hold on, Jack, what are you doing? No, Sean Clifford would. No. Sean Clifford had his chance 4 times. No. I understand that what you're saying is, Penn State fans didn't know what they had with Sean Clifford, and then they wanted this guy, and this guy didn't do any better. But they didn't win. They never beat Ohio State with Clifford. They never beat anybody good with Clifford. They got to get this guy. This guy went on the road. He lost as a 19-year-old sophomore. He'll be fine.
Let's move on from this game because I feel like we could do an entire episode on this game alone. We can revisit some of these takes on Monday, perhaps.
He'll be fine. Alabama. I saw something very interesting with Alabama today. Very interesting. They have not been elite Alabama all year. I think we all agree with that. They've trailed, I think, now 4 times at halftime, which is pretty stunning. But today, for the first time, I saw that button. Y'all know that button, right? The button that just says, we're going to press this button and it's over for you. Georgia has it. Georgia pressed it against South Carolina. And today, Alabama, in case of emergency, just hit the button and the game was over. They were down 20-7 at the half, and they outscored Tennessee 27-0 in the second half, won by 14. Jack, this is not elite Alabama. Everybody knows that. That being said, somebody's going to have to beat them again, or they're just going to hang around and be right there. They're not going anywhere, Jack.
I just don't see them beating Georgia. So, I mean, yeah, like they beat Tennessee. Are you impressed by Tennessee this year?
I was impressed by Tennessee I saw in the first half. They let Joe Milton kind of be Joe Milton. They let him throw the ball down the field, and they had some guys go get it. Squirrel White was one of the best catches I've seen this year. I was impressed with Tennessee in the first half. That's my answer to that question. Have I been impressed with Tennessee as a whole? No, but I don't know that Georgia has done anything. I don't know that Georgia has done anything to make me overly impressed with them either.
I don't want to do too much college football. Matt, they beat Arkansas by 3 points last week.
Arkansas is a very good team.
That is true. I'm not trying to take away from your big victory today, but I do say Alabama's gonna be around, and it's gonna be a massive game in Atlanta. You know, it's gonna be I'm excited for it. I think Alabama can win, of course, but I still am firmly in the Georgia camp. That Georgia's at least just a little bit above them in terms of a better football team.
Yeah, and they were better 2 years ago, and then Alabama beat them in Atlanta. Like I just think Alabama's going to hang around, and they're going to be a thorn in the side here, and it's just going to be interesting down the stretch because after week 3 or 4, whatever, after the Texas game and then the South Florida game, I thought they were losing 3 or 4 games, and they're not going to. They're not going to at all.
Yeah. Far too talented.
Yeah,
I completely agree. If they played Texas again next week, per se, like week 9 of college football versus week 2, would you expect the same outcome, Brandon?
No, I'm not going to do that to Texas. It's not fair to Texas. They went on the road and they did it, so it's not fair to Texas. Would it be? Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I
mean, listen, we'll talk about the Big 12, obviously, talk about Oklahoma and Texas, but Jalen Milroe has gotten a lot better. I understand that, not that it's not necessarily that they beat Tennessee today. It's the way that everything changed, right? Because, we gave when Georgia and South Carolina played and going into halftime, Shane Beamer does his whole thing. And then Georgia comes out and just absolutely destroys them. And we say the score doesn't even really show how dominant Georgia was in the second half. That's what happened with Alabama today. To have 27 unanswered points or 20, however many it was, there's something that happened in the locker room that happens a lot of times with these Nick Saban teams. And instead of what I was saying weeks ago about Jalen Milroe, I don't know, you don't question him near as much anymore, which is obviously what you need to see moving through the stretch of the season. I still think Georgia's going to beat them, but they're clearly a different team than what we saw lose to Texas and Tuscaloosa in week 2.
Before we get to Katie, it's almost time. Get ready. Cars.com is a leading digital marketplace connects car shoppers with their perfect car. This year, they're celebrating 25 years of helping shoppers research, find inventory, finance, and sell cars. Wherever life takes you next, whoever you're looking to be, there's a car for that on Cars.com. They got up to 50,000 cars added daily on Cars.com, up to 2 million cars for 2 million possibilities every single day on Cars.com. If you want it, it is out there. And if you have an idea of what you want to be or who you want to be, go to Cars.com and they'll have that nice convertible. They'll have that Jeep. They'll have that big truck. Whatever you want to be, the possibility is there for you on Cars.com. Find your next possibility on Cars.com. Where to next?
Now, Brandon, we've been talking about what kind of car I could potentially get in the future when we decide to move out of the city. There was a real conversation about looking at cars today for potentially holiday gifts. I'm just saying it's a real thing. Cars.com was allowing me to do some window shopping today.
Well, good luck on your search, and hopefully you'll find exactly who you want to be. All right. I got to be honest. Virginia, North Carolina is about as shocking a top 10 upset as I can remember in a long time. Not that North Carolina is necessarily a team that is just shocking to see upset. I mean, that you can see where that would happen. But Virginia, I thought might have been the worst team in the country. Virginia had one victory, and it was over an FCS team. And Virginia, I'm not looking at her.
Why you got to set it up like this, man? This is crazy.
I can't look at her.
I mean, this is all true. North Carolina 6-0, number 10 in the country, and they got Virginia, and they lost. Katie, go ahead.
Remember what happened on Thursday?
Yeah, Casey wouldn't let you say that Virginia could win.
You said it too, Brandon. You said it for weeks. You said it for weeks. Both of you. Hold up. No, hold on. Hold on.
Yeah, Casey.
I'm sorry. My anger made me forget my thought. Yes, it's the worst team. Like, I'm not like, no one watches more UConn games than Jack. No one watches more Texas A&M games than Casey. No one watches more Mississippi State games than you, Brandon fucking Walker. So when I, who watch the most UNC games, say we have trap games every year, we lose games we're not supposed to, and I sit here and say, hey, I just want to win the games we're supposed to win, and we'll hit the big games when we get there. But no, that's not acceptable. I'm a bad fan. I don't have faith. A 6-0 season is wasted upon me. So why, when I very correctly, and there's a bunch of things this week I was very correct on that you were very wrong on, Brandon Walker, why is that not good enough for you?
Answer the question, Brandon. Why is it not good enough for you?
I can list off the 6 games since 2020. Someone tweeted out very nicely, double digit. There have been 6 double digit, like we were favored by, that we lost outright.
Well, this ain't my fault.
No. I'm going to hustle for me. I am not blaming you guys for the loss. I don't believe in the jinxes, you saying that. I'm more mad at you guys being like, oh, like believe in your team, when I saw the truth. That's what I'm more mad about. The jinxing, no. I was right about this team. You two were wrong. Me being right wasn't acceptable, even though it's my team. That's what I'm mad about, not this specific jinxing.
I do think, and I think Brandon will agree here. Now, first of all, Katie, you were right. The clip that you posted it as soon as the game was over, very tough look for us, like telling you not to even think about losing to Virginia, because you did. But you guys were 6-0. So us saying to live in the 6-0 moment is more out of a jealousy thing. Like, it was more like, well, I would love to be 6-0. I would be very annoying if I was 6-0. However, I do understand your pain, and I am sorry for even giving you any hope, because obviously I was incorrect. I do apologize.
It's not the hope. It's the, I guess that's also more towards Brandon, he's doing the Frozen thing now, not very fly. It's that my belief and like diagnosis of my team wasn't right. It wasn't accepted. It was right. That's the Also, this happened last year with Wake Forest and Georgia Tech. This is 2 years in a row.
Brandon, she is right.
I will not apologize. Katie, at the end of the day, you're 6-1 and you just lost to one of the worst teams in the country. Okay. Frankly, this podcast needed your team. We needed you to lead us. Her team lost. She's going to have to fire Jimbo. His team's struggling. My team's struggling. Our coach died. We look to you. Katie, I'll let you talk. We look to you as the leader on this show. You had a 6-0 record, and you were supposed to lead us into the promised land, and you were supposed to be confident and enjoy your team for us. I can't enjoy my team. She can't enjoy her team. He's struggling to enjoy his team. And all you had to do was enjoy your team, and this wouldn't be a problem.
I saw the writing on the wall.
This would be a wildly different vibe on this podcast. Let's say, like, if you didn't like truly enjoyed 6-0, and then we all had to come on here and be like, "Oh my God, Katie, like we're like so heartbroken, sorry." Instead, we all came in here like she's about to rip us a new asshole.
Because I was right. I was fucking right.
But you just said the worst thing. You just said the worst things about your team, and it eventually was right.
How did I say? What do you mean worst things?
You just said, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yeah, if you're always looking for the cloud, you're going to look past the silver lining.
Where's the silver lining right now?
You only have
the last 6 weeks.
But it's the eye test. I know the record is okay. Fine, hold on. the way you thought about TCU, and I'm not pretending UNC is going to make like the national championship. The way you talked about TCU last year was like, oh, they're fake. Oh, they're fake. That's how I feel about UNC this year. Yes, we have the winning record, but it's fluke, like just eye test. Like I'm not. What's the difference?
I do think that, I mean, obviously we'll talk about Florida State and Duke, but like it is only one loss.
Yeah, it's a really bad loss. I am worried about the floodgates. Like I was saying this to Jack earlier in the gambling cave. It's like I know on the podcast I said I'm more worried about Georgia Tech. I flipped. Georgia Tech we've lost the last 3 years, so I think that's on the radar. UVA was so off the radar. Like this is going to be the game we lose if it's any.
Yeah, well, I mean, sorry.
And you missed it earlier. I wasn't allowed to talk, but USC Utah, I was right about that. Clemson Miami was right about that. So this is a Katie was right week. You said I was gonna be wrong. I said Utah an upset week. Was an upset. And you said no, USC is gonna blow them out. So I had my receipts.
Jake Malasek is tearing this chat up right now.
I kicked him at one point, and then he texted me the exact same thing. I was like, okay, fine.
All right.
I mean, if I'm Jake Malasek right now, I am hammered drunk. I
will actually say no, he's not. We were texting on the side. Virginia kind of this is bad. They all wait, hold on.
I know what you're gonna say.
Let her say it.
So this morning, I'm like, Jake, big game today. And he said, huge day today. It's the day we fire Tony Elliott, right?
Yeah, basically.
That's what he was like, it's today we get to fire Tony Elliott. And now, guess what? Ain't happening.
You bought him like 2 more years with that.
But I don't know. Like I wouldn't have fired Tony Elliott after this year. He's had a bunch of one score losses. Like this team could be 3-3, 4-3.
Yeah. Is Washington in trouble?
Yes.
He's had like 2 picks.
Yeah, you want to talk about again, if we're all this is a spicy live, if we're all keeping receipts. I believe that this is the game that I said that we could be in the middle of recording and we look up and we're like, what's going on? Now, I did not think it was going to look like this, but such an emotional high for Washington last week. And Michael Penix looked so unbelievably good. And then now it's like a 10:30 East Coast kick. And you're like, it's third quarter and they're losing to a 1-5 Arizona State.
Yeah, they're in a game that's 7-3 in the second half. What a trash football game that is.
Yeah.
All right. Are y'all ready for me to give you the goods, the bads, and the everythings?
Well, I assume we're going to talk about Florida State in there.
Yeah. Although they kind of won with ease, but yeah.
Okay. Well, do what you want.
I got everybody in here. Everybody that we're going to need to talk about is in this notebook right now.
Okay.
And usually I go with the goods and I talk about who did the good things. But today I'm going to start with the bads. Okay? Today I'm going to start with the bads. Actually, I might do one bad, one good. The first bad is this. Do y'all know what I'm about to say?
Sam Pittman?
No, I'll get to him in a minute. Oh, there's plenty of him to go around.
Mississippi State's snapping skills?
Oklahoma is the fakest team in America. I can't believe they came to play one time this year, and we put them in the top 5, the top 6. Like, oh, okay, well, they beat Texas. Oklahoma is so damn fake. Oklahoma beats UCF 31-29, a UCF team that's been terrible this year. They beat them 31-29 because UCF has a bad 2-point conversion. This is pathetic. It's terrible. The next 2 weeks, they're losing one of these games next 2 weeks. They got 2 road games at Kansas and then Bedlam at Oklahoma State, who, by the way, has woken up. This Oklahoma dream is ending. It's dying very soon, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I would totally believe that, you actually think that they're really fake if Texas took care of business today. Okay. They didn't look that great either.
Wait and let me get to my second point.
Would you like to get to your second point? Because you can't talk about OU looking shitty today without the fact that you think that Texas is going to beat them, which I'm not saying is a bad take whatsoever, but Texas also had to have some refs help to beat Houston.
Oklahoma embarrassed itself today. It embarrassed the Big 12. It embarrassed college football. It proved that it is the fakest team in America. Now, On the flip side in the Big 12, you had Texas pulling itself up by the bootstraps, absolutely gutting out a huge victory down in Houston, a road game in a place they haven't played before. Down there in Houston, their quarterback gets hurt, and Texas, against all odds, is able to come through and win that football game 31-24. That showed the heart of a fucking champion, Casey.
Where do you land on that, the refs may have helped Texas out a little bit?
I think that's loser mentality. I don't know. I wasn't watching. Okay. That being said, I have two actual comments about both of these games, and it's how they ended. Number one, UCF went down the field, scored, and had a 2-point conversion to tie the game. And I need to make an announcement to all college football coaches out there right now. College football coaches, if your 2-point conversion contains a time where you turn and throw the ball laterally, sideways, in the backfield, not going forward. If you toss it, if you throw it wide, if you try to do a double pass, it is going to fail. It is going to be terrible. These defenses are keyed up. They're attacking you. If you don't attack them, you're not going to get it. That was a pathetic 2-point conversion call. It was terrible. It never gave them a chance. Number two, on the Texas side, that might have been the worst spot I have ever seen in a crucial situation.
Horrible.
The fact that millions and millions and billions of dollars are spent on this sport every year. The fact that players are risking themselves out there for entertainment. The fact that millions of people are watching, and we have refs that can't get that miss something that obvious and that blatant and that terribly in the moment. And if you miss it, fine. You have a system in place where you can go to the monitor and look. You have a system in place where you can say, shit, I don't know if we got that right. Huge play right here. Let's go look at this. And they didn't do it. A joke of what happened to Houston today at the hands of the refs against Texas, Jack. A joke.
It's horrible.
Yeah. All the technology that's in sports now, it's like they can predict how many hours of sleep players will get in 3 weeks, stuff like that. Like this Amazon AI generated predictor that's better at reading blitzes than Derek Carr. Now, I know that's the NFL and that's Amazon, but you can't tell me there can't be a better way to, like, we have this technology now that is reading in real time blitzes and whatnot. And we're still using eyesight for punts going out of bounds and a stick with chains on it and a ball that is that. How can we put a chip in the ball?
When there's a punt that goes out of bounds and you see this fat ref doing this shit.
And then he goes up. That looks about right. Have you seen how they do it? They have this little specific way. I really would suggest people look it up on YouTube. It's like a minute long. It's shocking how they get to the how they predict where the ball went out of bounds.
Tennis, which is a far worse sport, far less people watch it. Doesn't matter at all. Who gives a shit? It's tennis. When a tennis ball goes either out or in, and the little French players like, check it. They challenge it, and then they go, and they got this camera that goes immediately, and it shows that the ball missed by a millimeter, and yet we got guys, we got 38-year-old gas station attendants out there saying, well, coach, I don't think he got it. What the fuck is going on?
And then they come trotting out with the chains, and it's like, all right, let's measure them up, boys. It's like what? How I get that at Pee Wee football. Like, what are we doing?
First of all, it's the hardest I've laughed in a while. What did tennis do to you?
I'm saying, if you're watching the bumfuck open in fucking Cincinnati, and a damn European hits the ball, and the other Europeans like,
the Cincinnati Open's actually pretty legit tournament. On the,
Where I don't care what the tournament is. No.
It's
And they go look, and you see the camera. The camera goes, boom, and the
Yes,
ball is out.
it'll show you what the dirt would look like with where the ball.
no, you are 1000% correct. I just didn't expect such a heated, passionate take to come out of tennis. But
It's not about tennis; it's about football. Why they have it? We don't.
1000%. The way that Jack just put it is correct. Like, sticks with chains. And if I was Dana Holgerson today and that happened to me, I would take my phone, tablet, anything I could get on the sideline, and I would be bum rushing the refs and being like, do you not see what I see? Like, how is this possible? And how is whoever's in charge not say, hey, hold on. If we don't rectify this, like, we know that it was incorrect, we can say that we were incorrect. If we don't, we're going to look really bad. Like, I don't understand how this continues to happen.
It's
I don't
unreal. Sorry to interrupt. The amount, I don't know if it's like a bot farm or something. Every chat comments about JJ McCarthy. Every other chat is JJ for Heisman, James John McCarthy, and it's different people.
Well, it's because Brandon hates JJ McCarthy.
I don't hate JJ McCarthy. Stop doing that.
Well,
I don't.
I'm sure. Do you?
I think he's probably up a top 12 quarterback in the country.
Hey, it's improvement.
Yeah, it's improvement. When he starts playing, we'll start talking about him. When their season starts November 11th, then we'll start talking about him.
That actually happened in JMU, Casey, where I think the coach or some assistant had some image on his phone or video, and he went up to the ref and tried to like use it to argue, and he got like tossed off the field.
Yeah, I think that's like a big. It's the Pat Bev. It's the Pat Bev. Like
Pat Bev did it with his camera. Yeah, but like that's what Dana Holgerson. Like, I mean, and he's already like, you know, a very emotional guy. We've known that everywhere he's coached. But like, how he didn't blow an absolute fuse on the sidelines, because, you know, again, I think Texas is going to win the Big 12. I like OU. I thought that would be a close game at the Red River Shootout. Didn't expect OU to win. However, like Texas won that game. Fine. Oh no, what happened now?
I need to check if this quote is real.
What quote?
Which one?
All right. Dabo Sweeney was asked Sweeney was asked if Clemson has sports psychologists for situations like these. His response: "We got him. ... He's probably on suicide watch right now."
No chance.
You know, he said.
So there was a third official's call, or a second official's call, that also seemed to affect the outcome of a game today, and that happened in Iowa City, Iowa. And frankly, it was fucking magnificent. It was everything I dreamed it could be. Minnesota goes into Iowa City. They're leading 12-10, and they punt to Iowa. The Iowa guy goes, oh, hey, everybody clear. Then he goes and he gets the ball. And
No.
He did this.
He was like this.
He did this.
Like this.
He went like this.
He did this.
Then he started pointing, and then with the other, he was like this.
It was like a balance thing.
Okay. Then he goes and catches. He gets the punt, and he takes it back for a touchdown. And Iowa, for a second, has beaten Minnesota somehow. 134 yards of offense. They win. The refs go look at it. They see, no, he didn't step out of bounds. But then they see, hey, before he got the ball, he was doing all this stuff. He was trying to wave the plane in, and they called it back for a fair catch. Now, to which I say, fucking amazing. The fact that Iowa got to lose in such a disgusting, terrible, heartbreaking manner makes me feel fantastic. Nobody deserves it more than those assholes. It was great. I celebrated on Twitter. A guy told me he wished my kids would die. They are the nastiest fan base in America. They deserve every bad thing that ever happens to them. And I am so glad that we don't have to pretend Iowa's good anymore. I thought they were going to go 11-1, and they're not. And justice has been served.
They are very nasty. And as a mom, I always knew it was shitty to go after people's kids, but like now that like I've seen it happen like on the internet, like you do take it to the next level, because it just makes anybody who says anything about kids is just a piece of shit. Iowa, we know they don't like pregnant women there either. I mean, never forget what they did when we were in Iowa last year. That call was bullshit.
Listen, there are clear rules.
I mean,
imagine a football game without rules, Casey. You want people out there getting hurt? You want people out there just going wantonly like they're doing whatever they want?
The
call was
I
bullshit.
get why you would be very frustrated as an Iowa fan. He his hand was above his shoulder and he went like this. Like it's a fair catch. Like that's a fair catch signal.
I don't know if his hand ever went above his head. I know that, again, like we're talking like inches of body parts, like, but if you watch it, to me it looked like he was kind of waving it off, but he was like kind of also like, it wasn't like he stopped and did like the like above the head, fair. I don't know. I would be pissed. I thought it was a bullshit call, but I also don't care because I don't like Iowa either. So
listen, it happened in the Alabama-Tennessee game where the Tennessee guy just went like this. And they waved that off like that.
Yeah, I guess
elsewhere.
It was more like don't touch it, like poison instead of like
right. But like that's a guy that's not even. He was 30 yards away from the ball, Jack. He was 30 yards away from the ball, and he went like this. And the ref said, "Okay, well that guy can't." So it was just weird. But it did get called elsewhere, stuff like that.
The fact that they couldn't like whether it's reviewable or not, like that, like going back and like actually taking a second to see like where his arms were, if it was over his head or not, like that, to me, if that happened to my team or to a team that I had gambled on, like I would obviously be furious, but I don't care because it's Iowa. But when you look at the play, like I can easily see why Iowa fans would be pissed.
That happened to me, I would just die. It would be awful. I would hate it, and I would be bitching, and I probably wouldn't have shown up tonight.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
but it happened to Iowa, and good, because fuck them. So
it was a very, very bad call in my opinion. But again, whatever, it's Iowa.
Sam Pittman's done. He's finished. 2-6. They lose to Mississippi State 7-3 in a game that had to be seen to be believed. It was fucking awful. It was absolutely terrible. Oh my God. It was like, watching old people fuck. It was not pretty. It was terrible. But he's 2-6. Arkansas fans, I was right. It's fitting that I was able to give you the knockout blow to knock him out of employment, because it was a win over us that gave you guys hope a couple of years ago in first place, and now you guys are done. So Arkansas, Sam Pittman will be exiting stage left soon. So
the man, like, I know he obviously.
Remember when people thought KJ Jefferson was good?
Yes. And I somehow believed, I didn't think that he was going to be the best quarterback in the country or even the best quarterback in the SEC, but I was like, man, maybe something's going on. Like the way they're talking about KJ Jefferson, especially coming out of SEC media days, it was like, what's going on in Fayetteville? Like maybe they've got some witch doctor thing. The fact that last season Arkansas fans, I mean, you want to talk about a nasty fan base, which we know Arkansas.
Well, they're more stupid than nasty.
Well, they got pretty nasty with me. And if you even mentioned that Sam Pittman wasn't a good coach, they went full blown nasty. And they all hate the man. They've been hating the man for 2 months now. But what does Arkansas do? What do they do? Fire him right now?
Well, they're going to fire him towards the end of the season. They'll get Mike Elko, or they'll get somebody. What?
I want Mike Elko in College Station so badly.
Well, you better go ahead and get the firing, because somebody's going to get him.
I know.
Speaking of Mike Elko, I don't know what I thought about tonight. I thought he kind of threw in the white towel. I thought he kind of quit. They were in a game. They were up 20-17. 20-17 driving, okay? Probably 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. 20-17 driving. Riley Leonard is playing. Riley Leonard gets hit. Face mask gets grabbed, and his knee gets twisted a little bit. Riley Leonard goes out of the game. The backup comes in. They run the ball 3 times. It's like 4th and goal at the 3. And instead of kicking a field goal to go up 6, they go for it. They don't get it. Riley Leonard goes through all his calisthenics. He's everything. He puts his helmet on, runs up to the coach, says, "I'm going back in." Coach says, "No, you're not. You're going to stay over here." And he never puts Riley Leonard back in the game. And they never let the backup throw the ball down the field. They never even try. It was weird. Like they just kind of they just kind of quit against Florida State. Florida State ends up winning by 18, and I thought Duke could have beat them. Am I the only one that noticed that?
No. I thought Duke was almost going to at one point, and then Riley Leonard injury was unfortunate. It was weird he didn't get let back in. Maybe the trainers, like athletic trainers, told him, "Hey, don't let him back in. He's going to try to get back in." The backup, even going for it there on fourth, was a little interesting. It was the first few plays for that backup, and if they took the field goal, it would have made it a 6-point game. And then, like from there, even though they take the lead on a touchdown, and I know you're a big time underdog on the road, even if they score a touchdown and another touchdown, you're still within one score. Mm-hmm. I think the field goal there, especially with the backup, I get going for it with Riley, and they didn't cover. It was pitiful. I can't believe they found a way not to cover. And even at the end, not to say that it really means anything, but they just gave up. They had the ball at Florida State's 40, and they just needed it out. They're just like, we're done here. Like, why even try to cover? I know you don't think, but it kind of went to show what you said, Brandon. They just kind of laid on. Once Riley went out, they just laid on the ground. I mean, their defense was playing so well.
Yeah.
They were also Florida State made some adjustments, but at one point, of course, at that point, we knew what was happening with North Carolina, not to bring up old shit, Katie. But there was points during that game where I was like, oh my God, we're watching the ACC play itself out of the college football playoff tonight. Like, that's the way that it felt. Like, it was just like, oh my God, like North Carolina just loses to Virginia, and then Florida State's going to lose to Duke. Duke is a good team. But now what? Which is, what's going to happen with we're going to see Clemson and Miami, but that doesn't matter. And obviously that didn't happen. But there were definitely points tonight where I believe that Duke could win to that degree, where it was like Florida State, they could still win out. But we see what's going on with the Pac-12, obviously the Big Ten, the SEC, and then Texas and Oklahoma didn't happen. But it was dicey for a little bit.
I mean, I think Duke would have won that game if Riley Leonard doesn't go out. And the fact that when he did go out, they just quit. It's just weird. And you're right. About 6 minutes ago in the third quarter, I thought we are watching the death of the ACC as far as 2023 goes.
It was not a question in my mind, because we already have started, we said it on the college football show that this would be a perfect year for the 12-team playoff, because we have all these different teams and these different conferences. Like if we look at who would be left out now, let's say we have an undefeated team in every Power 5 conference, which is still up in the air because we don't even know if Washington's going to win tonight. Like, I still think Florida State might have been left out just because of everybody else's resumes. Now, we'll see what happens with the rest of the conference. But like Florida State, like, they made adjustments. I still like Jordan Travis a lot. They look really good. But like, they could have easily lost that game tonight, but they didn't. So it doesn't matter. Survive and advance.
I mean, they took care of business in the end.
Correct.
It was just bizarre that Duke went out the way it went out. All right, let's do our second.
Before you get to what you're going to get to, Brandon, how do you even get a change job? They're all old. Like, who decides that?
I think you got it in 1986, and you just kept it until you either died or moved on, and then you just gave it to your son.
Yeah, maybe it's passed down.
Yeah.
And what? Not only is it like, how do you get the job, but what test do you take?
Also,
no, there's no test. There's
also no way to practice that. There's no way to really. The only way you can ever learn to do it is in the game. All right, so like it's just it's weird. It's a weird holes. Again, a European on the tennis circuit can go and then whatever.
Back to that too, like the technology. I mean, even with like the strike zones in baseball, like they clearly have things that are immediate, like that are faster than our eyeballs. Why isn't that on a football field?
It has to be some union like holding us back. It has to be. It has to be. There's the chains union that is keeping everybody from correct football measurements being told every Saturday and Sunday throughout this beautiful country.
A baseball is going 100 miles an hour, and we know exactly where it is in the strike zone. Now, not that always changes, obviously, what the umpires do, but we can't figure out where a ball is placed on like a 9-yard line. Seems suspect.
So what I'm about to tell you is very, very, it's going to hit, it kind of hits personally. You know how easy it is to gain 15 pounds during the football season? I sure do.
Damn, Brandon.
That's the exact first sentence of this ad. You know how easy it is to gain 15 pounds during football season? I sure do. Wah, wah, wah. I feel like I just got a Debbie Downer there. Feeling like it's hard to eat healthy food? No, it's not. Not anymore. Not thanks to Flex Pro Meals. Flex Pro Meals, Jack, that's who we're talking about. You can get gourmet Flex Pro Meals delivered to your doorstep tomorrow for just $4.99 with the code Barstool. Yes, you heard me. Gourmet meals cooked and ready to eat, only $4.99 at Flex with the code Barstool
It's okay. It's 1 a.m. It's okay. Try again.
at flexpromeals.com. Jack, tell them about Flex Pro Meals.
Hey, Flex Pro Meals, let me tell you, are some of the most gourmet meals you'll ever get. Most gourmet meals you'll ever get. But the gourmet Flex Pro Meals will be delivered to your doorstep tomorrow for just $4.99 with code Barstool. Yeah, you heard me. Gourmet meals cooked and ready to eat. Only $4.99 each with code Barstool on flexpromeals.com. Just hit up flexpromeals.com and use the code. That's right, Barstool. One more time. That's flexpromeals.com. Code Barstool. Do it now and get the meals. They send some to the office. They're great. I love them. They're easy to make. And
gourmet, healthy meals. You're going to be eating
you can
right.
Get them. Obviously, they're not going to deliver to you on Sunday, but you can get them throughout the week and you can get them the next day. It's a beautiful service they got over there. Flexpromeals.com.
It is also very people don't realize how amazing it is to during football when you're like, shit, I'm just going to have to order something bad for you, to just know that you have a meal that's just easily made in a couple minutes. If you haven't done it yet, do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Why aren't you doing it? Just do it.
Just do it. By the way,
golly.
I just realized that we've been recording for an hour.
Yeah.
And which is always great because we've been rolling. We had a mom and dad fight off the top. We've been slandering Europeans in tennis. Katie just absolutely roasted Brandon. This has been a great episode thus far.
Okay. And Jack is on his banning shit. Jack just took care of somebody. Okay, we got more people to talk about, more teams to talk about. USC just can't figure out Utah, huh? USC just cannot figure out Utah. They lose again 34-32. Katie called it. But it looked like they had survived. It looked like they were going to be fine, but they go up 32-31. They have a bad 2-point conversion attempt. Utah goes back down the field, gets a couple of personal foul penalties, ends up kicking a field goal right there at the end to win. And I don't know if the story is more that Utah absolutely owns Lincoln Riley at USC or that it's year 2, and on October 21st, Lincoln Riley and USC are out of the playoff contention.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, Kyle Whittingham obviously knows how to beat this team, and he's doing it well. And going into this week, I said, the way that Utah kept USC out of the playoff last year, there's going to be a little bit of a revenge factor. Caleb Williams is not going to have the same game, but that defense is just so bad. And it wasn't all on the defense. It's not completely their fault, but there were some, just horrific missed tackles again tonight. And I just don't know if any Lincoln Riley team is ever going to have a better defense. It's gotten a tad bit better, but being shit to a little bit better is not going to do anything. I don't know what's going to ever change for him.
Yeah, it looked like the defense was gonna have a good gonna triumph tonight. Utah got the ball back with 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left, and they could try to run the clock out. They had a lead, and USC's defense forced a 3 and out and got the ball. USC went and scored immediately. Scored way too fast. They had a 1-play drive, scored. They had a punt return, but yeah, then they ran right back down the field, and then it looked like USC was going to hold up again. And Bryson Barnes, I believe, on 3rd down to set up the game-winning field goal, ran for 20 yards, and that did it. Yes.
Speaking of which, a quote just came out. They've got a Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback, so they're going to make some things. And that's just the way it is. But we've got ourselves a pig farmer at quarterback, so we're proud of that guy too.
And that's Kyle Whittingham. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Bryson Barnes, It's not even like, oh, Cam Rising beat him for the third time.
Yeah.
Bryson
No.
Barnes did it this time. Yeah, no, Utah's just Kyle Whittingham will go down as one of those coaches that, YKB boys will bring up forever. Like, and I don't want to. Why I say YKB boys, that includes male and female. It's more like the boys. Like it's not it's not a gender thing. It just flows off a little bit better. But YKB.
But you do have to be a man to be in the YKB boys.
Yeah, like Brandon and I actually have
but not always.
No, Brandon and I actually have a live stream that goes on after this show. That is just like we only send it to the YKB chat, and if you want to try to get into it, you ain't getting in. That's not how it works.
It's
if
like
you have to ask,
rascals.
you ain't getting in. It's at 4 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Yeah, you ain't like, trust me, you ain't getting in.
The He-Man Woman Haters Club. You guys are just little rascals. That's what it is.
No, it's fine. It is what it is.
But no, USC is just I'm going to continue to stay on my Lincoln Riley hill just because it's one of those barstool things that I have to do. I'm not going to die off of it. But what is he going to do? And I don't think that it's just Alex Grinch. Like I think he's a major problem, but I think he could go out and get one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, and it's still going to take a little bit because there's just something about this team with him, and it was the same way at OU as well.
All right, I got some more good to talk about. I got a new guy that's going to be on the because list this week.
Okay.
He was an absolute stud today. Ollie Gordon.
I got a lot of DMs about him.
Ollie Gordon, Oklahoma State running back. Oklahoma State now 5-2, and they're going to have to be dealt with over there in the Big 12. They lost by 90 to South Alabama earlier this year, and I thought, well, Gundy's finished, and bam, they're 5-2. They go on the road and they beat West Virginia today. Ollie Gordon, 282 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, an absolute stud performance. And Oklahoma State, listen, again, I was joking about Oklahoma earlier, but Oklahoma the next 2 weeks at Kansas, at Oklahoma State, who's suddenly 5-2 and has a pulse. Like this could be a problem. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, when we did on I think it was the Monday show when I did like the midseason check-in and I said, whose stock are you buying? And Oklahoma State was on there, and Katie, I believe, had been talking about Oklahoma State. Katie was right. It makes no sense that they played the way they did early in the season, but like now we talk, because we saw Texas struggle and because we saw OU struggle, they obviously both still won. But like Oklahoma State, like could you easily see them throw a wrench into like the Big 12 path to the playoff? Like if they go out and beat Oklahoma and then Texas, I guess Texas would still probably go if they beat Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, but like Oklahoma State could ruin the Big 12 because they played so shitty in the beginning, but they could throw a wrench in it for sure.
We'll see going forward, but Ollie Gordon was a stud today. Missouri, 7-1 Missouri.
Brandon was right.
I cashed over 6.5 on Missouri on October 21st. October 21st, we cashed it. I think maybe is Shane Beamer. They're gonna have to have some conversations about him too. They're just lifeless.
He found a way to complain again in the post press.
They got killed. What did he complain about?
He goes. They're like, because you know how Missouri's, in his defense, they have been doing construction on that stadium for like 35 years.
Yeah.
He was like, I hope with this new facility that they're making, like the visitor post games presser part is away from the people a little bit more. It's a little bit more private.
What is like does he not have a PR team? Like does the
this one he's not in a great spot, but
he's down bad.
But I will say he was I think he was just trying to add like a little bit of, oh my God, like I'm close to losing my job. I don't think he'll get fired this year, but he's on a hot seat. And he was just like, there's 1 billion people walking around me. I don't want to answer any of your questions. I'm just laughing it off. Did you see the tweet that I quote tweeted last night from a South Carolina account? It was comparing Spencer Rattler's stats through the first few games of 2022 and 2023.
Yeah.
Imagine where he's going to be in 2024, man. Like it's just you wait, Brandon Walker.
Yeah.
Don't let the cock in Cocktober go crazy when Spencer Rattler comes back next year.
He's going to be 2055, going to be 70 years old, and some South Carolina fans say something nice about Spencer Rattler. No.
Speaking of Cocktober and Shane Beamer, do you know who they play next?
They've already played the A&M.
And boy,
Where's
am I
that?
in a pickle.
Where's
Because
that?
I don't want to lose to South Carolina in Cocktober.
Where it be at?
It be at Cocktober.
I think y'all got. I mean, they're pretty terrible.
I think it's in.
I think it's at your place. Didn't you play them there last year?
No, we played him at Kyle last year. I thought.
I just
no,
posted
you're right. It is at Kyle this year.
a shocking video
What?
on the Barstool Sports Twitter.
What is it?
I'm putting a must watch on it.
What are you talking about?
What
Go
is
to the
it?
Barstool Sports Twitter. I want you to watch the video I just posted.
Okay. All right. Guess that's. I don't know if that makes for good podcasting, but
No, I'll keep it flowing. Cocktober ends next week, and it's I think probably the end of Cocktober as a whole.
Well, but if South Carolina beats A&M, then that would mean Jimbo's closer to getting fired. So maybe
Yeah,
I don't want Cocktober to end.
guess what? In my heart, Cocktober will never end.
Are you the 85 Bears one?
Yeah, it's in. First of all, it seems like there's nobody in the stadium. For those that
What
are
is
listening
going
and
on?
watching, there's a video of an Alabama fan running on the field, which looked like in the pitch black, which obviously the game is at 3 or 2:30 Central. This against Tennessee, and the guy's running on the field, and then just this security guard comes out of nowhere and just flattens him, and then the security guard's coworker almost taunts him. He gets up in his face and starts yelling at him, like, "You don't run on this field, bro." It's
Jack,
targeting.
That's targeting. That's targeting.
Not only does the security guard tackle him, he stands over him and taunts him.
Yes.
And then gets up and walks away like he just.
Is that Josh Pate at the end checking on him?
I'm so confused.
No,
like,
that's just
why?
another
Like,
ball, guys.
why is
The security guard kind of like bows up a little bit. Like he's like so proud of himself for making that hit.
Also,
All right.
the initial hit, you see, I think it's a kid's phone, just goes flying for 20 feet. Like,
It goes so far.
Focus.
Great.
Miami beats Clemson 28-20 in double overtime. So Clemson is officially, I mean, they have been already, but I think now we can officially lock it in, even for the rest of the season. They're just another team. There's nothing special about Clemson anymore, and I don't know when or where they're going to get it back, because once you lose it, I mean, Nebraska once lost it. Tennessee once lost it. Once you lose it, it might be gone forever, Clemson. I'm just warning you.
Well, but Brandon, that's what Dabo wanted. Remember, he wanted to lose so people would jump off the bandwagon. Never forget.
Well, guess what? They going to be jumping off soon. All right, let me just go through the scores. And when it's time to talk about a game, when y'all want to talk about a game or a team or whatever, you can certainly do that. Let me pull up the old scoreboard here, and I'm going to go. We'll start in the Atlantic Coast Conference, okay? So Boston College, 38, Georgia Tech, 23. Boston College, 5.5-point dogs there, and they win and they beat. Georgia Tech they're weird. They're weird as fuck. They gave Louisville a game, they beat Miami, and then Boston College, who's awful, goes in there and beats them by 15 at their place. Wake Forest 21, Pitt 17. Did y'all see how Wake Forest got the ball back at the end?
Yeah, that was another bad spot. But I mean, that's one of those things where you kind of gotta
Just keep
running.
running.
I know you're the
Keep
quarterback.
running.
You can't give yourself up. You gotta get there. Like, if you dive forward, I know that's the one time you don't give yourself up. But it was a bad spot.
Well, let me lay out what happened. So Pitt has the ball 3rd and 9, I believe. They get a first down, game's over, they win.
There's like 50 seconds left.
Quarterback gets out of the pocket and is running towards the first down line. There's nobody really over there. There's nobody over there to stop him. And he gets about to the first down line and he slides. And here's the problem. I think this is the most missed call in college football. When a quarterback starts to slide, you're supposed to spot the ball where he starts his slide. But a guy will slide and the ref will go 3 yards behind where the ref should go and mark it. and this call tonight was terrible. The pit guy did slide, but this guy marked him 2 yards behind where he started the slide. And that fourth down, they punt. They end up losing to Wake Forest. Pretty bad call, I thought.
There were
But don't slide. You're right, Jack. Don't slide. Go get the fucking first down.
There were a lot of like bad spots calls today that were like not just like, oh, your team's gonna be mad, like the internet was mad about.
And that internet, it's a son of a bitch.
It is.
Virginia beats North Carolina 31-27. Duke, Florida State 38-20 over Duke. And Clemson loses to Miami in double overtime. Let's go to the Big 12 conference. Baylor 32, Cincinnati 29. If you watch that game, sorry.
Thoughts on Cincinnati? Scott Satterfield? Seems like Cincinnati fans are kind of already questioning him.
Yeah, he's terrible. I have no idea why they hired him. Remember when Will Muschamp got fired at Florida and South Carolina was like, oh, look, Will Muschamp, I'm going to try him out, even though he failed at a better place. Well, Satterfield just failed at a better place in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's like, oh, let's try him out. No, if he failed at a better place, how the hell do you think he's going to succeed at your place?
They were just hoping because they were, I mean, obviously losing Luke Fickell sucked, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Terrible hire.
Yeah, going from Fickell to Satterfield is a remarkable descent. Oklahoma State 48, West Virginia 34, Oklahoma 31, UCF 29. Again, terrible, fake team, joke of a team, terrible. Texas 31, Houston 24, heart of a champion. Lions did not quit. Incredible resolve from the Texas Longhorns. BYU 27, Texas Tech 14. Remember when Texas Tech went into the season and people thought they would be good? I thought they would be good. They're not.
I did too.
They're not good at all. BYU 5-2, like a sneaky 5-2 too. Like I don't think anybody's talking about BYU at all, but they are 5-2. Kansas State's another team kind of just laying there, 41-3 over TCU, the rotting corpse that is TCU football. But Kansas State has found something. They got Avery Johnson coming out. He's running for a lot. They're running for a ton of yards now. TCU has also found their quarterback, even though he played bad today. But Kansas State 41, TCU 3. As Kansas State's going to be somebody to be reckoned with there in the Big 12 the second half of the season. Big 10, we've got Rutgers 31, Indiana 14. Rutgers
Bowling.
6-2, bowl eligible.
Sorry,
Going to
Jack.
a bowl. I don't know. They'll probably end up at 6-6, but still an accomplishment for Rutgers. Are you going to hate on them, Jack?
No, I said congratulations to the whole state of New Jersey today on Twitter.
The whole
Full
state?
eligible.
It's big
What?
of you.
Wait, hold
Whole
on.
state.
Hold on, Jack. Has TJ Hitchings been sitting in the chat the whole time waiting for that?
Good
Yeah,
for
he
him.
was talking
He's a
earlier.
supporter.
He's just been sitting there the whole time waiting for that. I mean, God bless him. He's my guy. But I didn't know. Why don't you just text me and tell me to talk about it earlier, TJ?
Hi, TJ.
Aren't you the person though that like when people say talk about whatever, you yell at them?
I'm not going to yell at TJ.
You
I'll yell
I
at
said,
Come Face McGee over there, but I'm not going to yell at TJ.
yeah, come shot McGee. But I just want to say, I said in my tweet after the win, and I said, but I want to say it again now here. Bowl eligible. Congratulations, Rutgers, and congratulations to the whole state of New Jersey. And you know what? You get a bowl victory. I'll say congratulations to the tri-state area. Like I'll congratulate. Don't make me congratulate the whole tri-state.
Congratulations to TJ. Congratulations to Kelsey Grammer. What do y'all think about that new Frasier show? Have y'all seen the commercials for that?
I haven't.
It looks terrible.
I don't.
They did a Frasier reboot, and it doesn't.
I don't know why they don't need to do reboots of shows like that, and they never work out well.
It doesn't look good. Ohio State 20, Penn State 12, Wisconsin 25, Illinois 21. Came from behind. Think they found their quarterback. And I don't know if you guys know about this quarterback. His name is Braden Locke. Braden Locke transferred from Mississippi State. I believe, and I would have to check, he was a freshman at Mississippi State last year. He transferred to Wisconsin. I think he's the last quarterback Mike Leach ever signed in his life. I think. I don't know if he died before signing day last year. I think he died before signing day last year. I don't remember exactly when it happened.
He unfortunately did. Oh no, wait.
I can't remember.
He did. He died before. I think right before.
So Braden Locke, who is now at Wisconsin, the last Mike Leach quarterback ever, is so. I think he's now Wisconsin's quarterback going forward because Mordecai got hurt, but guy goes on the road. He throws 2 touchdowns, 240 yards. Looked pretty good today. He's from Texas, typical Mike Leach quarterback. Nebraska 17, Northwestern 9. Nebraska has a winning record for the first time in years, and like 4 or 5 years. Minnesota 12, Iowa 10, and a score that's just so delicious, I'm not going to eat for a week. That's a lie. I'm very fat. Michigan 49, Michigan State nothing. We haven't talked about this game at all because we knew it would be a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath. Jack, I didn't watch much of it, but from what I saw on Twitter, Michigan State players were just out there headhunting or just being dickheads or what?
I'm going to get his name. He's my shit list. Whoever that guy is shouldn't play football for the rest of the year. He's a disgusting human being. Hits to the back of the head is like, if you ever want to injure somebody, hit them in the back of the head. Like, it can cause like very serious damage. This guy did it, and it like you guys are. I'm not even say you Michigan State as a whole. I'm just going to say this guy, like, you stink. Your team stinks, and you got ran through today at home. You probably got ran through multiple times when you were trying to block people because you're not good. And then you took it out on somebody with one of the more dirty, disgusting hits I've ever seen watching football. And if you're going to call me like a pussy for that, I'm fine with that. But yeah, Michigan State 49-0. Losers. One picture of Hitler on their.
Okay, that was my question, Jack. That was my question. Was that real?
That was real.
Yeah.
They put Hitler on the scoreboard.
100%.
Yes, and they were asking like where he was from.
One photo. So I'll explain it, but just quickly, I just ran some stats. Not to take away from Katie, but I just ran some stats. One photo of Hitler shown in the Spartan Stadium today, 0 points by Michigan State. Now, for those that are confused with what we're talking about, before the game, Michigan State's team essentially put up a YouTube video of just random trivia questions from what appeared to be a pretty popular YouTube video. I would assume bars put it on. It's one of those things you'd walk into a bar and it's just on repeat. And it was question, I think, 29. It was like, what country was Adolf Hitler born? Or where was he born? And then then the answer came up, and it was just a photo of Hitler smiling.
So,
and
does that mean I believe at 1, Michigan State leads the country in Hitler photos on the scoreboard?
Yeah, so far this year, they lead the country. They also are the only Power 5 team to fire their coach so far this year. Have they won a Power 5 game this year? No, I don't think so. So yeah, so congratulations, Michigan State.
Things are going well.
Things are going great over there. Now, Tom Izzo will figure everything out for you guys. They'll just go on another Final Four run and then lose for winning.
The tweets about it were so funny because there was one that I retweeted that was just so simple. It was like, having to apologize in the middle of a game that you're losing 42-0 to your most heated rival for putting up a photo of Hitler on your scoreboard is an all-time low or something like that. It is ridiculous. You should never put up, but especially in today's climate, like what's going on overseas, like who let that pass?
I mean,
it's probably the only sign Michigan won't steal.
Yes, that's pretty good.
That was good. That was good. Way to turn it back around.
I will say, I mean, it was a YouTube video, and it was
you gotta watch it first.
I know you are right. You are 100% right.
It wasn't even just like a little part of the scoreboard either. Like this man's face was the entire thing.
And because I looked into it, knew the whole story. To the random person who just sees it on Twitter, they just see that Michigan State just put,
All right, back to my scores in the SEC. Mississippi State 7, Arkansas 3 in the game of the day. probably less said about that, the better. Alabama 34, Tennessee 20, Missouri 34, South Carolina 12, Ole Miss 28, Auburn 21. Auburn's just wretched. And LSU 62, Army nothing. They did not respect the troops at all. At all.
Washington may really lose.
I know.
They may
They're in big
really
trouble.
lose.
Yeah. It's not good.
4th and 13. I mean,
In the Pac-12, of course, we have Washington currently. UCLA's beating the holy shit out of Stanford 42-7, but Washington is down 7-3. We'll have a full recap for the 7 of you that are in the YKB chat later.
Make that 7-6. They just made a field goal.
yeah, it made a
Just
field
made a field
goal.
goal.
All right.
47-yarder.
Hey, well, actually, I'll save this for the categories.
Well, we are at the categories. So
Before we go to the categories, there are 2,000 of you watching this video. If you're not in the chat, can you please like the video? That would be greatly appreciated, and subscribe. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Please subscribe. If you're watching this back, please subscribe. We love you to subscribe.
Do it for
And if-
Katie. Katie's had a bad night.
Or the pod. I want they'll get more followers.
But
And
they love you, Katie. They love you.
if you're
All right.
sad UNC lost, like the video.
Brandon, I got to tell you,
what?
you know how good it felt to wake up today and know A&M just couldn't lose a game today?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. That's
Been there, brother.
that's the loser mentality I'm at. Just
Jack,
blow my-
Andrew Zufeld just said, "How do I get in the YKB chat, buddy?"
Bro, you ain't gonna get there. Like,
Not even close.
there's levels to this. You ain't on this level. I'm sorry.
I mean, there's coaches that can't get into this. Okay, and there's coaches in it.
They just grab each other's nuts in it anyways. Don't worry about it.
Whoa, this is not the Texas A&M Yale Leaders Convention.
We don't host this in College Station.
You walked right into that one.
I did it on purpose.
All right. Casey Smith, who won the weekend?
Brandon Walker, I am going to say Ohio State won the weekend. I know you and I had a fight at the beginning of it because, as we do.
That wasn't a
But
fight.
what?
That wasn't a fight.
Not a fight.
Oh, that was fine.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was
Yeah.
It was a mom and dad disagreement.
Yeah.
Ohio State, going into this game, obviously was the biggest game of the day. It feels like it was a year ago at this point now because it was at noon. But, with the way that Ryan Day, first of all, I think the people that say that Ryan Day is not a good coach are crazy. Like, I understand he hasn't beaten Michigan, but like he's inherited a team from Urban Meyer and has continued to put them. I mean, they've been in the playoffs. So I think that Ryan Day, like, I don't get the Ryan Day hate, but today was a really, really important step for that 11-0 Michigan, 11-0 Ohio State matchup again. And, their defense is incredible. Their defense looks really, really good. And the way that they played today, they absolutely, they're the headline. They're the headline of the day for sure for me. And credit to Ohio State. I don't think the offense is that great, but it doesn't need to be. The defense, Marvin Harrison Jr. is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. They didn't need to be incredible on offense all day because that defense is so good. So I don't think that anybody could say that Ohio State is not one of the winners of the day.
All right, let me go second.
I need to plug in my computer because apparently it's about to die. So Brandon Walker, who won the day?
I'm going to go with the Alabama Crimson Tide. I really saw something in that team that I haven't seen all year. Again, they've trailed 4 times this year. And listen, Ohio State is a fine answer, and if I hadn't taken it, I would have. But I saw something in Alabama that I haven't seen this year that they've had in years past, and that is – God, I hope you're not showing something that you shouldn't be showing right now. Oh, she's
It's
fine.
the YouTube chat. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
I almost kicked her out of the stream because if it was something bad,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
No, I
I
think
saw
he's
something-
not wearing pants.
I saw something out of Alabama today that I hadn't seen yet, and that was the fuck you, it's over mode that they've had in years past. That you've had your fun, fuck you, you're done. That's what they did to Tennessee in the second half. They were down 20-7. They looked discombobulated. Milroe looked terrible. They looked beaten in the first half, and they came out in the second half. Fuck you. You're not on our level. It's done. They outscored them 27-0, and that is a part of Alabama I've been waiting to see this year, and they're going to have to be dealt with. Whoever's going to win the SEC, whoever's going to win the national title, Alabama ain't going away, and Alabama's going to have a say in something in the second half of this season, and that's not something I believed a couple of weeks ago. Jack, who won the weekend?
The Ohio State defense. Again, I mean, they've won it before, but that was a spectacular performance. They did it again. They really showed the world, hey, we're not the Ohio State defense that allowed 60 points or 50 points to Utah in the Rose Bowl a couple of years ago. That kind of got flattened by Michigan in the second half last year, and even allowed Georgia, even though, I mean, they're pretty fucking good, but they scored a lot of points against them in the college football semifinals. But the Ohio State defense just and Jim Knowles, yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a head coaching job after this year.
Katie Stats, who won the weekend?
I think the Michigan Wolverine fan base won the weekend. Whether you're impressed or not with Ohio State, Penn State, I think at least just strictly on paper, Michigan is going to be more excited about where they're going. Plus, they had all the stealing sign stuff in the week, and they did not let that get to them at all. Which, regardless of how bad Michigan State is, it's just like there's always off-field drama, and Michigan just steamrolled through Michigan State. They beat their rival. Their other non-rival rivals look like shit. I think, again, I know people like Michigan hasn't played anyone, whatever. Just strictly on paper, Michigan fans and the team have to be feeling really good about themselves right now.
All right. Casey,
I've been seeing this in the chat. Is JJ McCarthy really leading the Heisman odds right now?
He's plus 185. Michael Penix is plus 225. Jaden Daniels is
a perfect segue to my loser of the week. It's the Heisman Trophy. Who's the fucking Heisman?
We don't have him yet. We don't.
Because,
and if it is JJ McCarthy, he has not laid claim to that trophy yet at all. He will have 3 games starting November 11th where he can go earn it. But there is not a Heisman frontrunner right now. I'm sorry, this is yours.
No. Sorry, I was just laughing at the thought, just from this podcast perspective, of JJ McCarthy.
Oh my God!
It would just be like, in a year, you're so right about so many things, and I'm saying this not in a sarcastic way. Like it would just be insane. There's a lot of guys out there that can really take this race by the balls in the next few weeks. Somebody will, I will assume. Penix isn't out of it, but this is tough. Bo Nix is probably back in it. Carson Beck probably back in it.
The stat of Bo Nix starting the most games in college football history today was very funny.
Oh,
Do you know he beat a few people in the 53 category. Do you know who's in the 53 category?
No.
I actually do. This is just more because I saw Clayton Thorson's in the 53 category.
Sam Hartman.
Sam Hartman
has been in since 2018. Bo Nix has been in since 2019.
I agree with you, Jack, that the Heisman right now is just kind of no one wants to go out and take it. However, if JJ McCarthy is the current odds-on favorite to win and he still hasn't played any of those marquee games, if you're a JJ McCarthy hater, that's not a great thing for you because that means that he's the odds-on favorite.
No, that makes perfect sense. He's the only guy who hasn't played a team that can take him out of the Heisman race. He's the only guy that hasn't played a living, breathing opponent. So of course he's in he's in the lead because Caleb Williams had to go to Notre Dame, and these guys other had to do something.
Jordan Travis is back in it. Sorry, I'm not going to listen to you guys yell about JJ McCarthy anymore.
Okay, well, I got another guy. The guy who's I think should win it.
I'm just kidding. You can yell about JJ McCarthy.
The guy I think should win it is a guy with 2 losses. Jaden Daniels been the best player.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. It's a shame there's not this dominant defensive player because this could have been the year for a defensive player that kind of pop out of nowhere and be like, hey, this is mine. But
what about Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I mean, his stats haven't been that great. I know he had a great game today, and he's the best wide receiver in the country. But he could still take it, but he needs to go, he needs a lot of big games.
The last thing I'm going to say about the Heisman race and JJ McCarthy is I don't know how many snaps he's played in the fourth quarter, but it's been very, very few. At least the Michigan's doing that, Brayden. Can you at least admit that?
Why do we have to suck Michigan off? Why?
We're not.
They haven't played anybody.
We're not sucking Michigan off if he's the leader of the Heisman odds right now.
He's not the leader in the Heisman race. He might be the leader of the Heisman. He is not the leader in the Heisman race right now. That's false. That's fake. He is not. He hasn't played a goddamn football game yet. He hasn't played a game. When he plays a game, maybe he gets in. Maybe he's in the race. Maybe he becomes the leader. He is not. You can bet whatever you want to bet. He is not the leader of the Heisman race right now. He's just not.
He is.
He's not. The Heisman odds are not the Heisman race.
It's a good indicator, though. You don't.
Because, again, it's just process of elimination. He's the only guy who
no. I get your point for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Case, what's her name on top right?
I'm going to let Katie go first for this.
Okay. Katie,
which
who
one are
lost
we
the
on?
weekend?
Who lost the weekend? Jack said the Heisman race.
Can I do my loser of the week after my shit list? I'll say them back to back. They correlate.
Okay, well, I'm okay. Then I'm just gonna say it. I'm sorry. We don't need to. I mean, North Carolina lost the week.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a top 10 team. You know, I even text Katie. You know, every Sunday I send her my top 10 for graphics. And last week I said, welcome to the top 10. Wish it could be me. How does it feel? Must be nice. Not only did you lose, you lost to the worst Power 5 team in the country. So
where would this loss rank versus the Colorado Stanford loss?
I mean,
I think it's worse.
It was 29-0 at the half. I'm like, that's two different. It's
But
like
a first-year head coach bumps. Like, this is a coach that's established.
You're asking me what's the worst smelling trash? Like day old seafood or day old eggs? Like they both stink just in different ways.
They both stink. But this one, like North Carolina had no business losing to Virginia because North Carolina was a legitimate top 10 team. That's the difference. Like, whatever you want to say about Colorado, fine. But like Mac Brown does not lose to Virginia. Like, that's not like that to me makes it worse because North Carolina had a straight shot to the college football playoff.
The chat's saying pick 6 Washington. Is it true?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, can y'all pay attention?
Well,
I'm writing down timestamps for clips.
okay. So yeah, North Carolina lost the weekend. Brandon Walker, who lost the weekend?
Everybody who watched that game today, and I'm not saying you, I'm not saying anybody who watched that game said, oh, Ohio State, Penn State both suck. No, they don't. Those teams are both very good. Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State all play in the Big Ten East, and I think all are top 5 to 10 teams in the country. And what I saw today did not disqualify Penn State or Ohio State from that race. I think they're both very, very, very fucking good. Sometime we have devolved as a college football society that when a team scores a lot and loses, well, they just got to get a little bit better on defense. They're going to be great. If they don't score a lot and if they don't score a lot, they're like, oh, this team sucks. This team is terrible. If a team is led by their defense, we're trained to believe they're not as good as the teams that are led by their offense. And that's just wrong. That's not right. And I think that Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan are all very, very, very similar. Michigan has been ahead of the other two as far as dominating games this year, but they've been playing teams that they could dominate. But when it comes to these three teams, I think they're all built very similarly in the fact that they've got quarterbacks who are pretty good, but they've got these defenses that choke you the fuck out. And I think it's going to be – I think Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State, Michigan will be very similar to the game today, like 2017, 14-10, just dynamite defensive games. And I think it's a tough-ass conference. That's what I think. All right.
Tough-ass division. By the way, Washington with one of the worst two-point conversion attempts I've ever seen.
Well, did you see UCF's today? Because that was bad.
Yes. Yes.
Did you see Clemson's tonight? Clemson's was hilarious.
Oh, that was – yeah, and the announcers were like he's got all the grass. He's got all the space in the world. And he just gets like dragged down like behind the line of scrimmage.
You got Cade Klubnik running like a 5'8", 40 trying to outrun a linebacker.
He's got so much space. And it's like, no, he doesn't.
All right. Let's see. How are we going to do it then? Katie, you do your shit list and your loser. I don't know why you've requested this, but go ahead.
It makes sense. I gotta be angry before I be sad.
No, boy.
No, the shit list. I've said what I'm gonna say. It's the two of you motherfuckers up on the top. for not letting me talk about my team how I want to talk about them. Everything's been said. The loser of the week is me for not standing my ground. I should trust my gut. And I know like Brandon's going to roll his eyes on that, but it's my list. So fuck off. I'm going to do what I want to do with it. I should trust my gut. This exact same thing happened last year. I think 2 years ago, I ate styrofoam. I literally have the list of 6 double-digit losses. With that, it's also the coaching staff at UNC. We are not good enough to walk and sleepwalk through anybody. Maybe we're too preoccupied with with Georgia Tech, having lost them the last 3 years, to not care about Virginia. It's sad. It's pathetic. I also have no idea who's coming after Drake May. So this is like hope to fucking hell is not a floodgate opening. And it was like, oh, it's a basketball school. No, I don't know about that either right now. Like one time. No. I have some insight for the basketball team. We'll be interested in that. One time UNC. Like I just want to win the games supposed to win and then go from there. Not have the dumb upset wins every single fucking year. It sucks so much and it's pathetic. That's my shit list and then loser.
All right. Casey, who's your shit list?
We deserve that. My shit, we've already talked about all of them, but I think that the refs today, the refs every Saturday are pretty awful. And
this center can't snap a ball.
Fuck you. You didn't enjoy a 6-0 start, okay? You didn't enjoy a 6-0 start. At 2-0, you're like, well, we're going to lose. At 3-0, well, we're going to lose. At 4-0, well, we're going to lose. And you finally lost at 6-0, you're like, see, I told you so. That's no way to be a fan.
I didn't say that we were going to lose. I said we weren't reflecting of our schedule. Like, yes, there's a 0 in the loss column, but I didn't think we were playing like a top 10 team.
That's no way to be a fan.
It's realistic. It's my fucking team. I don't watch Mississippi State, so I don't know more about your team than you do.
That's no way to be a fan.
Both of these things are true. Both of these things are true.
He was saying his fucking team was going to win the national championship. He was going to say we're going to go 9 in this. You have a new team. I know the national championship's hyperbole. Relax on that. Realistic. It's fucking eyeball test. You can't say X's and O's. It's just you see it.
You were sad when you beat Syracuse 41-6.
No, that one I was happy about. I was like, Syracuse is like Nebraska, Michigan today. What's UNC versus Syracuse? Michigan, they did really well versus a really shitty team. Michigan, yeah, it's a big rivalry game, but they're not like, oh, we're fantastic. They played really well against a really shitty team. UNC playing really, really well against Syracuse is the same thing.
Okay. Casey,
I do believe that both things can be true, because if any team, regardless of how they look, eye test is 6-0, you should be able to enjoy it. However,
I'll give you $500 to do your shit list.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, my shit list thing. I'll take the Venmo, $500 or Zelle or whatever. My shit. We've already talked about all of it. I think that there were some horrific calls by the refs today. Really bad spots, just really questionable things. And I know that that's kind of a lame thing to complain about, but as a whole, like if it doesn't happen to your team and you can still complain about it, then you know it's really bad. Because if you get a bad call against your team, and especially if it's like a game deciding call and you bitch about it, you're like, all right, whatever, the refs are always bad. I think today was exceptionally bad with multiple spots and multiple different calls. So I'm going to put the refs on my shit list.
Jack?
My team didn't even play, so didn't affect me.
Jack, your shit list.
I already talked about the individual on Michigan State. Spencer Brown, offensive lineman. I hope you apologize to that player that you assaulted today.
All right. And somebody want to set me up?
Brandon, what's your shit list?
Frankly, I have to stand up for the podcast, and I can't believe I'm the only one to do it, but I'm going to put Michigan State on the shit list for putting Hitler propaganda on the Jumbotron, and I am against that. I'm against Hitler, and I'm against all Hitler propaganda. So sorry that I'm the only one, but that's
we already talked about that.
What? No, that's
we're all anti-Hitler.
If we wrote our shit list out, Katie's is me and you, yours is refs, Jack's is somebody who assaulted somebody, and mine is Hitler.
Don't forget, his game of the week was Air Force Navy. So he loves America too. He loves the troops.
I love the troops. That was my game of the week. If I could have gone anywhere this week, I would have gone to Air Force Navy to be with the people that protect my life and my freedoms. So
I would like it on record that.
Does that make me a better person than you guys? Yeah.
As a whole, unnecessary roughness is against what Michigan State put on the scoreboard tonight.
And listen, in fairness, in defense of Jack, he was sick the other day. he probably would have been right with me with the troops. He would have been on the Air Force sideline. I would have been on the Navy sideline or whatever, maybe vice versa. But you guys clearly did not respect the troops. And that's fine.
Washington's about to win this by double digits, in my opinion.
Katie actually said she wanted to be in Baton Rouge so she could see Army get the shit beat out of them. That's what she said to me in person.
I haven't seen you in months. Bring me the receipts.
All right. Anything else?
Those were cool end zones, though, that LSU did.
See, if you're an Army player, don't you just roll your eyes if you show up and they're like, we're going to honor you by painting our end zones, and then we're going to beat you 62-0. Like,
Yes.
fuck you. Okay.
That's fair.
All right. We'll be back Monday for our Monday live. Otherwise, we're going to end it right here, right? Jack, you got nothing?
I got nothing.
Picture.
Katie, you got nothing? Casey, you got nothing? Picture. All right. That's unnecessary roughness. Bye-bye.